Hi, I'm Tara Sprickerhoff, one of the directors of tonight's performance.
And I'm Tanis Armstrong, another director.
Welcome to the Williams Lake Studio Theatre Society's production of A Christmas Carol. We're so glad you could join us for this experiment in socially distanced theatre.
A few notes before we begin. We'd love to thank our sponsors for this evening: The Open Book, M.H. King Excavating, the Williams Lake District and Credit Union, and Kathleen McDonald Artworks.
We'd also very much like to thank the Williams Lake businesses and community members who contributed props and costumes to the production. Krista Obergfell, Fox Mountain Urban Upcycle, Delaney's Lock and Key, Kit and Caboodle, and the Maranatha Christian School.
We couldn't have done this production without them.
As you can imagine, this year has been tough on the arts, as we, like many, have had to close our doors. We're so lucky that we've been able to find a way to continue to do theater right now.
If you like what you see tonight, we are currently fundraising for a building fund, as the Williams Lake Studio Theatre will soon need to refurbish our current home, or relocate to a new space, once health regulations allow us to be in the same room again, of course.
If you want to donate, you can send us an e-transfer to wlstheater@gmail.com. That's a WLS Theater, and theater spelled R-E on the end, at gmail.com, and we'll provide a charity tax receipt.
So thank you. In fact, you've already contributed just by buying a ticket to tonight's performance.
Now please, sit back, relax, and enjoy our production of A Christmas Carol.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon
Marley was dead to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and Marley were partners for I don't know how long. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole friend, and sole mourner. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I'm going to relate. Once upon a time, of all the good days of the year, on a bitingly cold Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Bah, humbug.
Christmas? A humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do, Fred. Merry Christmas? What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You're poor enough.
Come then, what right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough.
Bah, humbug.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without any money? A time for finding yourself another year older, but not 1 hour richer. If I could work my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your way and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it? But you don't keep it.
Well, let me leave it alone then. Much good may it do you. Much good has it ever done you.
There are many things from which I might have derived good by which I have not profited, I dare say, Christmas among the rest. But I am sure that I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come around, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely, and to think of people below them as if they really were fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that Christmas has done me good, and will do me good, and I say God bless it.
You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow.
Bah! Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why cannot we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We've never had any quarrel that I've been a party to. But I have made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So, a Merry Christmas, Uncle.
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year.
Good afternoon!
Miss Scrooge and Molly's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Molly?
Mr. Marley's been dead these 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
We have no doubt his generosity is well represented by you, Mr. Scrooge.
At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, we try to make some slight provision for the poor, who suffer greatly at the present time. Many thousands are in want of common necessaries. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons, sir.
And the union workhouses? Are they still in operation?
They are still. I wish I could say they are not.
Oh, I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
Sir, as they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body, a few of us are trying to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices.
What shall we put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I cannot afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments that I've mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there, and many would rather die.
Well, if they'd rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Good afternoon.
And so Scrooge resumed his labors with an improved opinion of himself. The door of Scrooge's office was open, so that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, Bob Cratchit, who, in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk, so named Bob Cratchit, came in with the shovel, the master predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Whereupon Bob put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he failed. At length, the hour of shutting up the counting-house arrived.
Sir?
You'll want all day tomorrow, I suppose.
If quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was to stop half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound.
Well, sir,
Yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
it is only once a year.
A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all earlier next morning.
I will, Mr. Scrooge. Thank you, sir.
Scrooge buttoned his greatcoat to the chin and left with a growl.
Ugh.
It was closed in a twinkling, and the clerk, with the long ends of his work comfort dangling below his waist, said he posted no greatcoat, and on a slide at Cornhill on the end of a lane of boys 20 times in Christmas Eve, and then ran home as hard as he could pelt. Scrooge, however, took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern before going home to bed in the gloomy house which had once belonged to his deceased partner. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on Scrooge's door, except that it was very large. It is also a fact that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence in that place. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of his 7 years dead partner that afternoon, and then let any man explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker not a knocker, but Marley's face.
Scrooge! Marley?
As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was the knocker again.
Humbug.
To say that Scrooge was not startled would be untrue. He put his hand upon the key he had relinquished, turned it sturdily, walked in, and lighted his candle.
Pooh! Pooh!
Scrooge walked through his rooms to see that all was right. Nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet, nobody in his dressing gown, which was hanging in a suspicious attitude against the wall. Lumber room as usual, old fire guard, old shoes, 2 fish baskets, washing stand on 3 legs, and a poker.
Humbug!
Quite satisfied, he closed his door and locked himself in and double locked himself in, which was not his custom.
It's humbug still. I won't believe it.
Scrooge.
What?
Scrooge.
Who's there?
Scrooge.
I know him. Marley's ghost.
The same face, the very same. Marley in his pigtail, usual waistcoat, tights and boots. He pulled a chain clasped about his middle. It was long and wound about him like a tail, and it was made of cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, and heavy purses wrought in steel. His body was transparent, so that Scrooge, observing him and looking through his waistcoat, could see the 2 buttons on his coat behind.
How now? What do you want with me?
Much?
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
All right then. Who were you?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Can you sit down?
I can.
Do it then.
You don't believe in me?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a fragment of underdone potato. Oh, there's more of gravy than of grave about you, whatever you are. Mercy! Dreadful apparition, why do you trouble me?
Do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But why do spirits walk the earth? And why do they come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellowmen, and travel far and wide. And if the spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander through the world, oh, woe is me, and witness what it cannot share, but might have shared on earth and turned to happiness.
But the chains, tell me why.
I wear the chain I forged in life. I made it link by link, and yard by yard. I girded it on my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it.
Scrooge trembled.
Would you know the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was full, as heavy as this, 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain.
Jacob, old Jacob Marley, tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob.
I have none to give, nor can I tell you what I would. I cannot stay, I cannot rest, I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house, mark me! In life, my spirit never roved beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole, and now weary journeys lie before me. No space of regret can make amends for one life's opportunities misused.
But you were always a good man of business, Jacob.
Business! Mankind was my business! The common welfare was my business! Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business! Why did I walk through crowds of my fellow beings with my eyes turned down? Hear me, my time is nearly gone.
I will, but don't be hard upon me, Jacob.
I am here tonight to warn you that you have yet a chance and hope of escaping my fate, Ebenezer.
You were always a good friend to me.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits. Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow, when the bell tolls 1. Expect the second on the next night at the same hour. The third upon the next night, when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and look that for your own sake you remember what has passed between us.
Jacob! Jacob!
And so, whether from the emotion he had undergone, or for the fatigues of the day, or his glimpse of the invisible world, Scrooge, much in need of repose, went straight to bed and fell asleep upon the instant.
Thank you for joining us for the Williams Lake Studio Theater's production of A Christmas Carol. And now, let's look in on Stacy and Kirsten, who are getting ready for their next scene.
Oh, Stacy, I've never had so much fun as I've had doing this radio play, except maybe when I've bought a new book.
It really is wonderful.
The scene where Fred invited his Uncle Scrooge to Christmas was delightful. It took me right back to the first time I read A Christmas Carol.
Fred reminds me of my Henry. Oh, Kirsten, if I had an extensive library like yours and was as good a gift giver, do you think Henry would notice me?
Well, Stacy, I'll tell you my secret.
Oh, Kirsten, please do.
To have a grand book collection and to give the most pleasing gifts, I just go to the Open Book. Located in downtown Williams Lake, the Open Book has 16,000 titles in stock, as well as calendars, magazines, jigsaw puzzles, gifts, and more.
My goodness, I had no idea I could get so much from the Open Book.
Shop at the Open Book, and you're sure to be noticed.
Stacy will definitely get great books and wonderful gifts from the Open Book. Let's just hope she gets Henry as well. Now, back to A Christmas Carol.
The clock strikes 1.
Scrooge beheld a strange figure, like a child, yet not so like a child as like an old man. The strangest thing about it was that from the crown of its head there sprung a bright, clear jet of light, by which all was visible.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Spirit, could you pull that cap down so that I might see you in this brightness?
Would you so soon put out with worldly hands the light I give? Is it not nothing? You are one of those whose passions made this cap and forced me through whole trains of years to wear it low upon my brow.
I did not mean to offend, Spirit. What business brings you here?
Your welfare.
Oh, a night of unbroken rest would be more conducive.
Your reclamation, then. Now rise and walk with me.
Spirit put out its hand as it spoke and clasped Scrooge gently by the arm. They passed through the wall and stood upon an open country road with fields on either hand. The city had entirely vanished. Not a vestige of it was to be seen. Instead, it was a clear, cold winter day with snow upon the ground.
Good heaven! I was bred in this place. I was a boy here.
Your lip is trembling. And what is that upon your cheek?
Oh, nothing. Lead me where you would.
Do you recollect the way?
Remember it. I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange to have forgotten it for so many years. Let us go on.
They walked until a little market town appeared in the distance.
These are but shadows of the things that have been. They have no consciousness of us.
Oh, look! It's Sister Mary. Dear kind Sally. Timothy! Oh, they go off home for Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Well, the school is not quite deserted. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still.
How I know it well. Father never wanted me at home. There I am, alone, reading. How I used to remember and imagine such delightful subjects. Oh, poor boy.
Scrooge beheld himself, and as he looked, a little girl came through the door and put her arms around his younger self's neck and kissed him.
Dear brother, I've come to bring you home, dear brother. Home.
Little friend?
Yes, home for good and all. Home for ever and ever. Father is so much kinder than he used to be. That home's like heaven. And he spoke so gently to me one dear night when I was going to bed that I was not afraid to ask him once more if you might come home. And he said, yes, you should. And he sent me in a coach to bring you. And you're to be a man. You are never to come back here. But first, we are to be together all Christmas long and have the merriest time in all the world.
You are quite the woman, little friend.
Always a delicate creature, whom a breath might have withered, but she had a large heart.
So she had. You're right. I will not gainsay it, spirit. God forbid.
She died a woman and had a child, a boy, your nephew.
Yes.
Although they had but that moment left the school behind them, they were now in the busy thoroughfares of a city. The ghost stopped at a certain warehouse door.
Do you know it?
Know it. I was apprenticed here.
They went in.
Why, it's old Fezziwig. Bless his heart. It's Fezziwig alive again.
And there was old Fezziwig. He rubbed his hands, adjusted his capacious waistcoat, laughed all over himself from the shoes to his organ of benevolence, and laid down his pen and looked up at the clock, which pointed to the hour of 7. He called out in a comfortable, oily, rich, fat, jovial voice,
Yo-ho there! Ebenezer! Dick!
Yes, Mr. Fezziwig.
Yo-ho, my boys! No more work tonight! Christmas Eve, Dick! Christmas, Ebenezer! Let's have the shutters up before a man can say, Jack Robinson!
At once, Mr. Fezziwig.
Hi-ho! Clear away, my lads, and let's have lots of room here. Hi-ho, Dick! Shut up, Ebenezer!
and there were such dances and more dances, and there was cake and a great feast cold roast, and then the fiddler began to play.
Oh, well done, my lads. Drink some porter. More dancing. Merry Christmas to all.
To Fezziwig.
Fezziwig. A small matter to make these silly folks so full of gratitude.
Small?
Why, is it not? He has spent but a few pounds of your mortal money, 3 or 4 perhaps. Is that so much that he deserves this praise?
It isn't that, spirit. He has the power to make us happy or unhappy, to make our service light or burdensome, a pleasure or a toil. Say that his power lies in words and looks and things so insignificant and slight that it is impossible to add and count them up. What then? The happiness he gives is quite as great as if it cost a fortune.
What is the matter?
No, nothing. I should like to say a word or two to my clerk just now, that's all.
Well, my time grows short. Quick!
Scrooge and the ghost again stood side by side in the open air. Scrooge again saw himself, older now, a man in the prime of life, who was not alone, but sat by the side of a fair young woman.
Matters little. To you, very little. Another idol has displaced me, and if it can cheer and comfort you in time to come as I would have tried to do, I have no just cause to grieve.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
This is the even-handed dealing of the world. There is nothing on which it is so hard as poverty, and there is nothing it professes to condemn with such severity as the pursuit of wealth.
You fear the world too much. I have seen your nobler aspirations fall off one by one until the master passion gain engrosses you.
What then? What if I have grown so much wiser? I am not changed towards you.
Our contract is an old one. It was made when we were both poor and content to be so, until we could improve our patient worldly industry. You were changed. When it was made, you were another man.
I was a boy.
That which promised happiness when we were one in heart is fraught with misery now that we are two. How often and how keenly I have thought of this I will not say. it is enough that I have thought of it, and can release you.
Have I ever sought release?
In words, no, never.
In what, then?
In a changed nature, in an altered spirit, in another atmosphere of life, in everything that made my love of any worth or value in your sight. If this had never been between us, tell me, would you seek me out and try to win me now?
You think not?
I would gladly think otherwise if I could. Heaven knows. When I have learned a truth like this, I know how strong and irresistible it must be. But if you were free today, tomorrow, yesterday, can even I believe that you would choose a dowerless girl? You, who in your very confidence with her weigh everything by gain or choosing her. If for a moment you were false enough to your one guiding principle to do so, do I not know that your repentance and regret would surely follow? I do, and I release you, with a full heart for the love of him you once were. You may. The memory of what is past half makes me hope you will. Have pain in this. A very, very brief time, and you will dismiss the recollection of it gladly as an unprofitable dream from which it well happened that you awoke. May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
Spirit, show me no more. Conduct me home. Why do you delight to torture me?
I told you these were shadows of the things that have been, that they are what they are. Do not blame me.
Leave me. Take me back. Haunt me no more.
Scrooge, conscious of being exhausted, was overcome by an irresistible drowsiness, and further, of being in his own bedroom. He had barely time to reel to bed before he sank into a heavy sleep.
This old-time radio program is brought to you by M.H. King Excavating.
Oh, this seat is uncomfortable, and it's very hot in here.
Take it easy, Mom.
Oh, I'm sorry, Emma, but I'm really just frustrated because I have numerous construction and renovation projects that need excavation work, and I want to make sure I hire the best company for the job.
Well, of course you do, Mom. Excavation work requires extensive knowledge and experience in all areas of earthworks. When I have excavation needs, I hire M.H. King Excavating to get the job done right. M.H. King Excavating's excellent work always keeps me cheerful.
Good advice. When you need trenching, foundation work, potholing, sodding, and more earthworks, be sure to contact M.H. King Excavating located in Williams Lake, BC. And keep a smile on your face.
Scrooge! Join me, Scrooge!
Scrooge awoke and opened his door cautiously. His room had undergone a transformation. Heaped up on the floor to form a kind of throne with turkeys, geese, game, poultry, and much, much more. In easy state upon this couch there sat a jolly giant, glorious to see.
Come in, and know me better. I am the ghost of Christmas present. Look upon me. You have never seen the likes of me before.
Never. Oh, Spirit, conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion, and I learnt a lesson which is working now. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it.
Touch my room.
Scrooge did as he was told. The room vanished instantly, and Scrooge and the spirit were transported to a small four-roomed house.
you are! What has ever gotten your precious father, then? And your brother, Tiny Tim?
We had a deal of work to finish up last night and had to clear away this morning, Mother.
Well, never mind, as long as you are come. Sit ye down before the fire, my dear, and have a warm Lord bless ye.
Oh, there's Father coming now, Mother.
There he is, late as ever.
In came Bob Cratchit, the father, his threadbare clothes darned up and brushed to look seasonable, and Tiny Tim upon his shoulder. Alas for Tiny Tim, he bore a little crutch and had his limbs supported by an iron frame.
Hello!
Hello.
Hello.
And how did little Tim behave?
As good as gold, and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful sitting by himself so much, and he thinks the strangest things you ever heard. He told me coming home that he hoped the people saw him in the church because he was a cripple, and it might be pleasant for them to remember upon Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. He's growing ever so strong and hearty.
Ah, love, well, sit and let us eat. Oh, here's a piece of goose for you, and for you.
I don't believe there ever was such a goose cooked. Such a goose, Mrs. Cratchit.
That goose is so small, Spirit. So small for such a large family.
A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us.
God bless us.
God bless us, everyone.
Tiny Tim sat very close to his father's side, upon his little stool. Bob held his withered little hand in his, as if he loved the child and wished to keep him by his side, and dreaded that he might be taken from him.
Spirit, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
I see a vacant seat in the poor chimney corner, and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child will die.
No, oh no, kind Spirit, say he will be spared.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. But then, if he be like to die, he had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Bah humbug!
Let us make a toast.
To Mr. Scrooge. I give you Mr. Scrooge, the founder of the feast.
The founder of the feast, indeed. I wish I had him here. I'd give him a piece of my mind to feast upon, and I hope he'd have a good appetite for it.
My dear, the children, Christmas Day.
Should be Christmas Day, I am sure, on which one drinks the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Mr. Scrooge. You know he is, Robert. Nobody knows it better than you do, poor fellow.
My dear, it is Christmas.
I'll drink his health for your sake and the day's, not for his. Long life to him, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. He'll be very merry and very happy, I have no doubt.
They were not a handsome family. They were not well dressed. Their shoes were far from being waterproof. Their clothes were scanty. But they were happy, grateful, pleased with one another, and contented with the time. And when they faded, Scrooge had his eye upon them, and especially on Tiny Tim, until the last.
He said that Christmas was a humbug. As I live, he believed it too.
More shame for him, Fred.
He's a comical old fellow, that's the truth. And Not so pleasant as he might be. However, his offenses carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him.
I'm sure he's very rich, Fred. At least you always tell me so.
What of that, my dear? His wealth is of no use to him. He does not do any good with it. He doesn't make himself comfortable with it. He hasn't the satisfaction of thinking that he is ever going to benefit us with it.
Oh, I have no patience for him.
Oh, I have. I am sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. Here, he takes it into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us? What's the consequence? He doesn't lose much of a dinner.
Indeed, I think he loses a very good dinner.
Well, I'm very glad to hear it. I was going to say that the consequence of his taking a dislike to us and not making merry with us is that he loses some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. I mean to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not. For I pity him. He may rail at Christmas till he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it. I defy him. If he finds me going there in good temper year after year and saying, "Uncle Scrooge, how are you?" If it only puts him in the vein to leave his poor clerk £50, that's something. And I think I shook him yesterday. At least he's given us plenty of merriment, and it would be ungrateful not to drink his health. To Uncle Scrooge, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, whatever he is. He wouldn't take it from me, but may he have it nevertheless. Uncle Scrooge.
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 Can we not stay longer, Spirit?
My life upon this globe is very short.
Scrooge and the spirit went again upon their travels. Much they saw and far they went, and many homes they visited, but always with a happy end. It was a long night, yet while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older.
Are spirits' lives so short?
Ends tonight.
Forgive me if I am not justified in what I ask, but I see something strange and not belonging to yourself protruding from your skirts. Are they children?
Look here.
From the foldings of its robe, it brought forth 2 children.
Spirit, are they yours?
They are man's, and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. This boy is ignorance. This girl is want. Beware them both, and all their degree. But most of all, beware this boy. For on his brow I see written that which is doom, unless the writing be erased.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
As the last stroke ceased to vibrate, Scrooge lifted up his eyes and beheld a new solemn phantom coming like a mist along the ground towards him. Scrooge bent down on his knee, for in the very air through which this spirit moved, it seemed to scatter gloom and mystery. It was shrouded in a deep black garment, which concealed its head, its face, its form, and left nothing of it visible save one outstretched hand.
I am in the presence of the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
The phantom spoke not, but pointed onward with its hand.
You are about to show me shadows of things that have not happened, but will happen in the time before us. Is that so, Spirit? ghost of the future. I fear you more than any specter I have seen. But as I know your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be another man from what I was, I am prepared to bear your company and do it with a thankful heart. Will you not speak to me?
They gave him no reply. The hand was pointed straight before them.
Lead on, lead on. The night is waning fast, and it is precious time to me, I know. Lead on, spirit.
Santa moved away as it had come towards him. Scrooge followed in its shadow, arriving in the heart of a city and stopping near a knot of businessmen.
No, I don't know much about it either way. I only know he's dead.
When did he die?
Last night, I believe.
Why? What was the matter with him? I thought he'd never die.
God knows.
What has he done with his, money?
I haven't heard. Left it to his company, perhaps. He hasn't left it to me, that's all I know.
Well, it's likely to be a very cheap funeral, for upon my life, I don't know of anybody to go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going if a lunch is provided.
I know these men.
They were men of business, very wealthy and of great importance. Scrooge had made a point of standing well in their esteem, in a business point of view, that is, strictly in a business point of view. The spirit moved again, this time to a building in a disreputable part of town.
Come into the parlor. Come into the parlor. What odds, then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber, eh? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
That's true, indeed. No man more so.
Very well. Who's worse for the loss of a few things like these, eh? Not a dead man, I suppose.
No, indeed.
If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, a wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? If he had been, he'd have had somebody to look after him when he was struck with death, instead of lying, gasping out his last breath alone by himself.
It's the truest word that ever was spoke. It's a judgment on him.
Let's see, a seal or two, a pencil case, a pair of sleeve buttons, and a brooch, and a couple of old boots. What do you call this? Bed curtains? You don't mean to say that you took 'em down, rings and all, with him lying there?
Yes, I do. And why not?
You were born to make your fortune, and you'll certainly do it.
Don't drop that oil upon the blankets now.
His blankets?
Who else's do you think? He isn't likely to take cold without 'em, I dare say.
I hope he didn't die of anything catching, eh?
Don't you worry afraid of that. I ain't so fond of his company that I'd be loitering about for him for such things if he did. You may look through that shirt till your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole in it, nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had, and a fine one too. They'd have wasted if it hadn't been for me.
What do you call wasting it?
Putting him on it to be buried in, to be sure. Somebody was fool enough to do it, but I took it off again. If calico ain't good enough for such a purpose, It isn't good enough for anything. It's quite as becoming the body. He can't look uglier than he did in that one.
Spirit, I see. The case of this unhappy man might be my own. My life tends that way now. Merciful heaven, what is this?
Now in his sight sat a bare, uncurtained bed, on which, beneath a ragged sheet, there lay something covered up. A person.
No, not this, Spirit. Oh, Spirit, this is a fearful place. In leaving it, I shall not leave its lesson, trust me. Let us go.
Still, this ghost pointed with an unmoved finger to the head.
I understand you, and I would do it if I could. But I have not the power, Spirit. I have not the power. Oh, Spirit, I beseech you, let me see some tenderness connected with this death, or that dark chamber, Spirit, which we left just now, will be forever present to me.
The ghost conducted him through several streets familiar to his feet. They entered poor Bob Cratchit's house, the dwelling he had visited before, and found the mother and the children seated around the fire, quiet.
I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father when he comes home for the world. It must be near his time.
Past it, rather. For I think he has walked a little slower these few last evenings, Mother.
I have known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulder, very fast indeed.
And so have I. Often.
But he was very light to carry, and his father loved him so that it was no trouble. Oh, and there is your father at the door. You went today then, Robert?
Yes, my dear. I wish it could have gone. It would have done you good to see how green a place it is. But you'll see it often. I promised him that I would walk there on a Sunday. My little child. My little child.
Oh, Robert, I am sure we shall none of us forget poor Tiny Tim, shall we? Or this first parting that there was among us.
And I know, my dears, that when we recollect how patient and how mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not quarrel easily among ourselves and forget poor Tiny Tim in doing it.
Oh, Spirit, something informs me that our parting moment is at hand. I know it, but I know not how. Tell me, what man was that whom we saw lying dead?
The spirit went straight on.
This court through which we hurry now is where my place of occupation is, and has been for a length of time. I see the house. Oh, let me behold what I shall be in days to come. The house is yonder. Why do you point away?
The spirit stood among graves and pointed down to one. Scrooge advanced towards it, trembling.
Oh, before I draw nearer to that stone to which you point, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of things that will be? Or are they the shadows of things that may be only?
Still, the ghost pointed downward to the grave by which it stood.
Men's courses will foreshadow certain ends to which, if persevered in, they must lead. But if the courses be departed from, then the ends will change. Oh, say this thus with what you show me.
Following the finger, Scrooge crept towards the grave, trembling as he went, and read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Am I the man who lay upon that bed? Oh no, spirit! Oh no, spirit! Oh, hear me! I am not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been, but for this intervention. Why show me this if I am past all hope? Oh, good spirit, your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Assure me that I yet may change these shadows you have shown me by an altered life. I will honor Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirits of all three shall strive within me. I will not shut out their lessons that they teach. Oh, tell me that I may sponge away the writings on this stone.
Scrooge, holding up his hands to the phantom in a last prayer to have his fate reversed, saw an alteration in the phantom's hood and dress. It shrunk, collapsed, and dwindled down into a bedpost.
A Christmas Carol will be back in a moment. But first, ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. People everywhere are talking about the Williams Lake and District Credit Union's lighthearted and flexible approach to banking. Let's hear what a few of them have to say.
In these days, when we long for simpler times, it sure is great to know that the Williams Lake and District Credit Union operates on the principle of people helping people. I know when I frequent the Williams Lake and District Credit Union for my financial needs, their priority to put my goals first just knocks my socks off.
Gee whiz! At the Williams Lake and District Credit Union, I can get the same services as banks, like checking accounts, mortgages, loans, and investment advice. Being a member means I have equal ownership and an equal say in how the credit union operates. And I think that's just the bee's knees.
Yes, people everywhere are finding out about the many benefits of being a Williams Lake and District Credit Union member. Become a member yourself, and you'll say, it's swell. And now, back to the show.
Yes, and the bedpost was his own. The bed was his own. The room was his own. Best and happiest of all, the time before him was his own to make amends in.
Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and the Christmas time be praised for this. I don't know what to do. I'm light as a feather. I'm as happy as an angel. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. I'm as giddy as a drunken man. A Merry Christmas to everybody. A Happy New Year to all the world. Oh, hello here. Hello. I don't know what day of the month it is. I don't know how long I've been among the spirits. I don't know anything. I'm quite a baby. Never mind. I don't care. I'd rather be a baby.
Oh, Scrooge ran to his window.
What's today? What's today, my fine fellow?
What today? Today is Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day. I haven't missed it. The spirits have done it all in one night. They can do anything. Oh, of course they can. Of course they can. Hello, my fine fellow.
Hello.
Do you know the poulterers in the next street but one at the corner?
I sure hope I did.
Oh, an intelligent boy, a remarkable boy. Do you know if they sold the prize turkey that was hanging up there? Not the little prize turkey, the big one.
The one's hanging in now. That one's as big as me. It's hanging in now.
Is it? Go and buy it. Go and buy it.
Watcha, you must be off your rocker, mister.
No, I'm in earnest. Go and buy it and tell them to bring it here, that I might give them directions where to take it. Come back off with the man and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes. I'll give you half a crown.
Okay, mister.
I'll send it to Bob Cratchit's. He shan't know who sends it. It's twice the size of Tiny Tim. Oh, there never was such a joke as sending it to Bob's will be.
He dressed himself all in his best, and at last got out into the streets. The people were by this time pouring forth. Scrooge regarded everyone with a delighted smile.
Morning, sir. A Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, of all the sounds I have ever heard, these are the sweetest to my ears. Oh, Merry Christmas to you, madam.
He had not gone far when, coming on towards him, he beheld the children, who had walked into his counting house the day before. It sent a pang across his heart to think how these children would look upon them when they met. But he knew what path lay straight before him, and he took it.
Ah, hello.
My dear sir, how do you do? I hope you succeeded yesterday. It was very kind of you. A Merry Christmas to you, sir. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yes, that is my name, and I fear it may not be pleasant to you. Allow me to ask you your pardon, and will you have the goodness of...
Scrooge whispered an amount in the child's ear.
Lord bless me, my dear Mr. Scrooge. Are you serious?
If you please, not a farthing less. Oh, a great many back payments are included in it, I assure you. Will you do me that favor?
I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything. Promise me you'll come and see me this afternoon.
We will.
Thank you. I'm much obliged to you. Bless you.
As he wandered, Scrooge found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything, could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon, he turned his steps towards his nephew's house.
Fred?
Why, bless my soul. Who is that?
It is I, your Uncle Scrooge, come to dinner. Will you let me in, Fred?
But, of course.
Scrooge was at home at his nephew's in 5 minutes. Nothing could be heartier. But he was early to the office the next morning.
Oh, if only I could catch Bob Cratchit coming in late.
The clock struck 9. No Bob. 1:15. No Bob. He was a full 18 minutes and a half behind his time. Scrooge sat with his door wide open, that he might see him come into the tank.
Hello. What do you mean by coming here this time of day?
I am very sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
You are? Yes, I think you are. Step this way, sir, if you please.
It's only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry yesterday, sir.
Now, I'll tell you what, my friend. I am not going to stand for this sort of thing any longer. And therefore, I am about to raise your salary.
But, Sir?
Oh, Merry Christmas, Bob. A merrier Christmas, Bob, my good fellow, than I have given you in many a year. I'll raise your salary and endeavor to assist your struggling family. We'll discuss your affairs this very afternoon over a Christmas bowl of smoking bishop, Bob. Now make up the fires and buy another coal scuttle before you dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
I will, Mr. Scrooge. I will.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. Some people laughed to see the alteration in him, but he let them laugh, and little heeded them. His own heart laughed. That was quite enough for him. He had no further intercourse with spirits, but lived upon the total abstinence principle ever after. And it was always said of him that he knew how to keep Christmas well if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that truly be said of us and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed,
God bless us, everyone.
We sincerely hope you enjoyed our production of A Christmas Carol this evening.
If you want to relive the magic again, we do have good news for you. You'll be able to broadcast A Christmas Carol, but this time on the radio, on 97.5 FM The Goat and 570 AM Caribou Country, December 12th, 19th, and 24th at 6 p.m.
And once again, if you liked what you saw this evening, you can help keep the Williams Lake Studio Theatre around for years to come by donating to our building fund, just by sending an e-transfer to wlstheater@gmail.com.
Thank you, and see you next time.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!